Today, we're talking with Dayton Schrader, a local real estate agent that's been in his trade for over 40 years. We're going to be talking about mentorship, giving back, and just kind of what his spirit is in the real estate market. And so why don't we just jump right on in? What are some of the biggest challenges that you've had in this real estate career? We've had lots of ups and downs, but how'd you overcome these seasons that we face?
Well, I really struggled early on in my career. I was 21 when I got into the real estate business, so none of my friends were buying houses. I was always selling to somebody considerably older than I was. And back then, interest rates were 16% or more. And so it was tough. And I struggled for the longest time. But I was fortunate enough to be in some good offices. And I watched and observed some other people that I thought were very professional and how they handled their business, how they dressed, the car they drove, the way they handled their files, the way they talked to people. And I learned as much of that as I possibly could, sponged up as much as I could. And then things started picking up here in San Antonio. The market gets better. HEB moves here from Corpus. Valero moves here from Houston. Southwestern Bell moves here from St. Louis. And this town just took off and exploded. And I got to be kind of on the front row seat for all that.
So everyone always remembers their first sale. I definitely remember mine, but mine's not as notable as your first sale in the business. Explain what that looked like.
So I didn't have my license at the time, so I could only work with builders. And so I was taking my classes, and it was Super Bowl Sunday. And I'd actually driven back from College Station. I was there the week that weekend for a game, but nobody else wanted to work that day on Super Bowl Sunday. I was low man. So I hit the deck Sunday morning, drove back to San Antonio, and sat on site. And it was in Woodstone over by Madison High School. Nice little $60,000 3-bedroom, 2-bath ranch. And so that was my first sale. It was Super Bowl Sunday, 1982. That was, if you don't remember, that was the drive. That was Joe Montana, and a really good game. But anyway, that was my first sale.
So which is amazing because most people can't go back to that moment. Now, I do also remember having your first sale, and then there were some gaps in between before you got your next sale. Was there ever a moment you wanted to give up? And if so, what was that mindset switch that said, hey, let me hang in there?
Well, part of it was just necessity. I didn't have any skills. I didn't have any money. I basically had nowhere to go. So I had to find a way to figure it out. And I mean, I could have waited tables or done some other stuff, but I thought that wasn't really the career path that I wanted to have. And so I just hung in there and scratched and scraped and scrambled as hard as I could, doing any number of things so I could get better at what I was doing. And it paid off.
Sure. So with the market being what it is, there's a lot of new agents in the business and seasoned agents as well, but it's still going to ebb and flow. How do you stay motivated in tougher times or more stressful times?
A combination of being super competitive. I always want to do a little better against myself, and sometimes I frustrate myself trying to compete against other people too, which I really shouldn't do. Getting on the wrong hamster wheel for the wrong reason, and then a great deal of pride in the organization we built, the team that I've got. I don't want to let them down,
Sure.
and because I don't want to ever have to look at them and say I didn't do a very good job, so you're out of work. And so that I can't do that.
Which is really interesting because that's going to lead into my next question. 40 plus years in the business, valuable lessons learned, some costly. What would you say that, what mistakes made you or turned you into a valuable lesson learning opportunity that you'll never do again?
Just not hitting the problem head on.
Okay.
Not being truthful, trying to be the sales guy and hoping that other things would break my way instead of confronting whatever the situation was. A buyer that was unrealistic, a seller that was unrealistic, and so getting stronger and more confident to where I had some deals under my belt. I had a little bit of credibility and a little bit of confidence about what I was doing and the direction. And as long as I operated with integrity, that was fine. But it wasn't really integrity when you're telling, oh, it's okay, we'll get that number for your house or whatever, just to get the listing. And so I learned that, and I learned from builders. They want to close on time.
Sure.
That's their number one thing, and they don't care how hard it was or who difficult the client was or anything else. They just want it done on time, and I learned that the hard way.
We work with buyers and sellers all the time. Tons of roadblocks that pop in. I mean, obviously, life's always changing. When you look back at the 40-plus years that you've been in the business, what is the best advice to a potential buyer or seller? Hey, there's going to be some roadblocks, but what's next? Or what would you kind of forecast for?
Well, for the buyer and seller, it's managing expectations. Here's what the inventory looks like. Here's what the days on market looks like, the absorption rates and things like that, and being super transparent about that. And then asking them about prior experiences they've had buying or selling real estate, good or bad, and get an understanding of what they're looking for and what their expectations are so that we can meet or exceed those. Or we can say, you know what, probably not a good fit. And if that's what your expectations are, then I may not be your guy, and that's okay. And you can do that if you've got abundant leads and some other resources. But early on, that was not an option for me. I dealt with everybody I could under any circumstances, no matter how difficult they were, and that was just what I had to do.
Hey, and I think that leads into the next question. I think when we talk about real estate and a transaction from start to finish, it's not a race; it's more of a journey. But we always call it the emotional roller coaster. How do you set those parameters and let that client know that, hey, we're going to be here from start to finish, and this is what we're going to do in between?
I would show them case studies, essentially effectively case studies of here's what I did with other people. I did in similar circumstances, whatever those might have been, whether it was a hardship case or whatever the circumstances might be. Now I've got enough of a catalog of closed transactions that I've been in most of those situations, and I can say, here's what happened in that case, and here's what we needed to do, and here's what we had to do, and here, this was the end result.
Now, real estate has always been kind of like in my mind, the best industry in the world, right? We get to help people each and every day, and there's always people flocking to the business. They get in, they get out. A lot of new agents, I've asked the question, like what to expect. What advice would you give to new agents trying to enter the market, whether it's today, 5 years ago, or 5 years in the future? I mean, the bumps and bruises they're going to go through, but advice from Dayton Schrader himself.
Know what you want. Figure out what it is you want your practice to look like. Not like my practice or somebody else down the hall in your office, but what do you want your practice to look like given the circumstances in your life? So if you've got to take care of mom and dad, or you got to take care of kids, or there's other things going on, you may not be able to be a volume junkie. And so figuring out what you want your business to look like. The nice thing about San Antonio now is average price is almost $400,000. So you don't have to do a great deal of business to make a good living in San Antonio.
So with that being said, what keeps you centered? I mean, you've always been able to see over the hill and kind of know what's coming next. But how do you keep centered, knowing that you have all these things going on and the market's up and down, rates are up and down, all these things that are happening? How do you keep going day to day outside of just drinking your coffee to stay along?
Part of it is having been married almost 38 years now. That's a big part of my life, and I don't ever want to disappoint or let Kendall down. I've got a daughter who's 30 now. I want to be a good example for her, and so that's a big part of it. Some faith and then hanging out with the right people. I think at this point in our lives, it's how you feed your mind, the books you read, the things you listen to. And the other one is the people that you hang out with. And if you hang out with the right people that inspire you and motivate you and are willing to hold you accountable and push you outside of your comfort zone, then you're in the right spot.
Got you. So when we talk about success, I mean, a lot of people will say, oh, these are my numbers, this is what I did. But really, real estate is not about the transactions closed. It's about the process going through it. So outside of transactions, what does success look like for you?
Well, the business that we have now, where last year we helped almost 400 families buy and sell houses, and 88% of those people were referred to us by someone else. So I don't do any advertising. I've not been in any print media in 20 plus years. I've got a little spend on homes.com, but nowhere else on the internet. And so it's the repeat and referral business. And some of the people that I've dealt with that are industry professionals that have a lot of choices, and that they were kind enough, gracious enough, generous enough to pick me to handle that for them. That's huge. When I get referrals like that from somebody that's in the industry and really knows what they're doing.
Yeah, referrals are great. That means that you're doing right by everyone and doing it the right way each and every time. What do you wish more people knew or understood about the real estate journey? Both the hard times and then the ones that are the rewarding, where you help that one family out that, didn't have another option.
I mean, there's a lot of gratification, and it's really special. It's very intimate. When you sell somebody a house or help them buy a house, and you think of all the good times and the tough times and the struggles and the memories that you're helping create, that's a big deal. And I don't think we take full advantage of that. I think we say thank you very much and call me if you need me, but we don't really celebrate that like we should. And so I want to make it a bigger, because it is special, but I'd say more than 90% of the time, it's a positive experience. We're happy to get the house sold because they're moving to something else, happy to buy a home, and the occasional divorce or estate sale or things like that. But for the most part, it's something worth celebrating. And the fact that you can own a house in this country and build some wealth and create some equity that most people can't get elsewhere, that's a huge deal.
And leaving that legacy, right?
Right.
Huge deal. Well, there you have it. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe. And as always, have a blessed day.